So when I was still very young and very naive, by that I mean yesterday, an idea just crossed my mind. What if you just leave everything and everyone you know and just disappear and go on the moon? I know that it's kind of weird to start a video like this, but there are days when you just wake up and your brain just starts doing drugs by itself. And thanks to some state-of-the-art technologies, you can still observe people from afar and watch all your loved ones get old while we stay on Earth. And this can be the beginning of some lyrics like, "And you will stay alone as I go on the moon alone, but will you watch me from the astronomy tour?" If somehow my voice sounds kind of quavering, it's normal. It's because I choked while brushing my teeth. Yeah, I know, I'm 17 and I choked while brushing my teeth. Talking about toothpaste, yeah, I know there's absolutely no transitions here, so just deal with it. Toothpaste, we're gonna talk about this today. Sometimes in life, there are some people that are very much boring and annoying, and you can just be walking around, breathing and stuff. Most people are gonna go to you and start complaining about their life. You have two choices. One, you can just listen to them, even though you don't want to listen to them, but you are a nice person and you are afraid to tell them to shut the fuck up. And now the second option is just tell them to go away, but that's kind of rude and you don't want to be mean or to be perceived as someone mean. So whenever this kind of stuff happens, I just listen to them for like 1 minute, and after that I just tell them, hey, your day could have been so much worse. For example, you could have choked while sleeping, and they will probably say something like, hey, how is that possible? Like, nobody ever choke while sleeping. And usually I just say something like, actually, according to statistics, that 5,000 people died while choking between 1970 and 2021 in the United States. And now here's what's gonna happen. The person is gonna look at you while asking themselves, is she utterly dumb or awfully weird, or both at the same time? And thanks to this, they will never talk to you again. So yeah, I basically started this video by teaching you how to push everyone away if we are somehow annoying. So I just came back from some holidays with friends, and a whole holidays just looked like Pinterest, but it was better than Pinterest. Walking, sightseeing, with music on, and we just did whatever we wanted. But now I am back in my tiny little room. As you can see, it's kind of messy, but I haven't cleaned it yet. But and now that I think about it, it's the last summer as a high schooler. My last summer before turning 18. Because next summer I will probably die of boredom or anxiety. The age between 15 and 17, you are hitting the end of the teenage years, but at the same time, you are not an adult yet. So it's this period of transition that is kind of weird, and you feel like you have everything, but everything can be destroyed at any moment. Or maybe I'm just being too dramatic because of my lack of sleep. So recently I got my mind wandering everywhere at the same time. It's like your mind is traveling everywhere in the world, in all the places that don't even exist. And usually this happens when you're kind of stressed out. And do you know the name of this thing? This is called denial. It's the state where you are using your imagination, or you are trying by every means to distract yourself so you don't have to deal with your responsibilities or reality. So for example, last night I pulled an all-nighter. I was talking with my friend, and after the call ended, I was feeling sleepy. And I was like, oh, that's great, I'm gonna fall asleep, and it will be a shame if right now an existential crisis just kicks in, right? So this is usually what I see when I decide to isolate myself in my room and just stare at the window. And now I hope that my neighbors cannot see me filming the windows while zooming like a weird psychopath. Okay, actually there's nobody here, so I can just keep filming the window. So there are days where I just imagine the buildings being in another color, or the sky being another color. A lot of studies have shown that colors can have a huge impact on your brain. For example, blue can help you feel more calm, and actually having a room that is painted in blue can be very great for your brain. It's excellent for memorization and for concentration. But somehow when I stare at the sky, I don't feel calm. I just ask myself, hey, why is the sky so vast? I mean, we're so tiny in this universe, and soon we're all gonna die because we're all meaningless. Oh my god, sorry, I wasn't supposed to. This wasn't part of the script. Anyways, I actually don't even have a script. Right now I'm just fully improvising because improvisation is the key of success. I've been doing that my whole life. So I was talking about if life was in another color. So what if the buildings were in another color? Okay, see? Actually the buildings are orangey, white, yellow, orangey. And now imagine them in another color. I generally find it interesting the fact that some colors can have so much impact on the way you perceive your environment. For example, my room right now looks like a mess, and you better be careful if you're walking in my room because you can see some cockroaches or some dead corpses. Talking about corpses, if you leave them too long on the floor, they start to spread out some kind of liquid on the floor, and it takes a lot of time to get rid of this liquid. How do I know that? I just have a lot of enemies. Last year, at the same period of the year, my room looked like this because of the sky. And now, my room looks like the symbol of depression. It looks like the hole of oblivion. It looks like jail. But last year, it was pretty great. I mean, just because of the sky, because right now the sky is kind of gray and it feels like the end of the world. I generally hate when the sky is gray and also a little white. You cannot really look at the sky because it hurts your eyes because it's kind of white, because it feels that something is coming, that's like there's the apocalypse or something like that. You can almost hear all the white noises, all the quivering sounds made by the radio, or maybe this uneasy silence that felt all over the city. I really don't like the fact that somehow things around me don't make sense at all, and having a blank mind is what is truly terrifying. I don't know if that is the same case for you. It's like your brain needs constantly to be stimulated or to be constantly imagining stuff. It feels like some kind of machines that's constantly turning, and if you don't use this machine, it just gets awfully old and it just doesn't really work anymore. There's this thing where if your brain is not having constantly ideas, or you feel like you just become something that is not even human, you just become something that is truly disgusting, like just a cattle breed that just eat, breathe, and sleep, and just basically life goes on and so on and so on. I don't really know how to explain it, but so let's associate that to some kind of imagery. Basically, if there's a whole machine, there's matter. The purpose of this machine is to break down this whole mass of matter and to turn it into small little things that are tidy and well organized. Basically, every time that you get captivated by something, every time that you get curious about something or whatever, that you have an idea, some kind of project to work on, it feels like the huge machine is working and it's breaking down this mass of matter and it turns it into a small slice of matter and it gets more organized. Meanwhile, when you have nothing to think about, it's like the machine is turning, you don't have some kind of matter to put inside the machine, so it's the machine is just running itself but endlessly and aimlessly. And now I have no idea if you understood what I've said or not, but the point is, I think nothingness is truly scary for a mind. It's not even boredom. It's cool to be bored because it truly forces you to observe what is around you and turn them into some kind of ideas. When nothing inspires you, your mind just becomes a hole of oblivion. English isn't my first language, so it's always harder for me to make videos. It's harder to be like quick-witted while playing with language. It's harder to make puns and jokes. You will always have the vastness and the immensity of the things going inside of your brain, this inner turmoil that cannot be turned into words. I think this is the interesting part with the human experience, is that I will probably quote it wrong, so I'm gonna write it there. You know when Franz Kafka said, I write differently from what I speak, and I speak differently from what I think, and I think differently from the way I ought to think? That is interesting because you will always have this inherent difference between your experience and how you try to translate it to other people and how the other people perceive it. So at the end of the day, nobody is gonna understand you the way you understand yourself. And if you don't understand yourself, well, welcome to life. So right now it's currently midnight and I am cutting beans, as you can see. Something that is oddly satisfying with this kind of green And now you might be like, hey, why are you telling us that you're cutting beans? I mean, we're not saying that it's not interesting, but we're just heavily implying the fact that not a lot of people are going to listen to you rambling while cutting your beans. Well, you're right, because today we're not talking about beans. And I'm sorry if I'm not looking at my cameras while cutting my beans, because I don't want to cut my fingers while cutting beans. So anyways, I was cutting beans. Oh my god, I'm starting to hate this world. An idea just crossed my mind. All this imaginary world, all those ideas, all those fake scenarios inside of your brain, they should have a name altogether. Do people find a name for the imaginary places inside their brain? I know it's not a common thing to do at midnight and be like, hey, today we're gonna name our brain. But that is what we're gonna do tonight. So I thought of the idea Juniperia X2X. Why Juniperia? So everything started when I was 12 and I watched Black Mirror, right? And there was this episode called San Juniperia, and it was a whole vibe that inspired me for the rest of my life. I mean, the rest of my life, as if, why am I talking about it as if I almost finished my life? I mean, anyways, you got it. This kind of retro, neo lights kind of imageries, and it's mostly dominated by colors such as purple, pink, or blue. Why X2X? Well, it's a complicated world that I somehow created during an all-nighter for my art project. It's safe to say that now, I think this collection of videos can be called Juniperia X2X. Now we can go something like, welcome to Juniperia X2X. No, welcome isn't a great word, you know. You are invited to come in. No, it doesn't sound. Do you want to join Juniperia X2X? Or maybe Juniperia X2X enter this world. So I just put my phone on my fridge and now I'm filming in this position. Yes, it's kind of weird, don't ask me any questions because I don't have the answer. So the few minutes that you have seen of me cutting the beans, I rewatched this footage. You know, I was kind of just like, it's kind of, I don't know, something is kind of awkward, let's be honest about it, you know. Now that we're just getting to know each other. So usually when I introduce myself to people, I often say, hey, I like social interactions, but I often say very awkward things because if you're wondering, I don't have any social awareness. So just deal with it. And don't worry, it can be fun. Maybe I'm just convincing myself that my whole life wasn't just a parade of awkwardness. Why am I thinking about this at midnight while sitting on the floor of my kitchen? This summer is gonna be great.